I don't have any that I can think of specific objections. I'm not one of these people who thinks that it would be productive to brand China as a manipulator of her currency. I think that might carry more problems. We don't need a trade war. On the other hand, I think China needs to do a better job of not manipulating her currency and letting it float. And I think she's moving in that direction. You know, as a former Treasury Secretary, I'd tell you I think it's in China's interest to let her currency float a little more and increase a little bit in value. And I think that's beginning to happen. So I don't have any specific arguments right now. If China were to become, let's say she became hegemonistic in her approach toward the Northern Pacific, that would be a different ball game. Some people say that we ought to be over there determining what happens in the South China Sea. I'm not in favor of that. I don't think we ought to go halfway around the world to deal with those kind of problems. We can't afford it anymore, and the American people are tired of it. I remember when I was Secretary of State and Corazon Aquino was President of the Philippines, and one day I got a call from her saying, we want you to leave, we want you to pull out of Clark Field in Subic Bay. And we said, what? And she said, yeah, there's a lot of political pressure here for the Yankees go home, get out of Clark Field and Subic Bay. And so we said, okay, we don't want to be anywhere where we're not wanted. Well, it wasn't 4 or 5 months later that China planted a flag on one of those islands in the Spratly Islands of the South China Sea, and we got a call from the Philippines saying, hey, we got a security treaty with you. What are you going to do about this? And we said, what do you think we're going to do about it? Nothing, because you've taken us out of Clark Field and Subic Bay. We don't have the assets there to do anything about it. You can't have it both ways, okay? If people want to be an ally of the United States and under our protection, then they ought to understand we got to have the assets in order to deal with, in order to fulfill our treaty obligation. But I don't think that it's the United States' job to determine the outcome of jurisdictional claims to islands in the South China Sea. Both countries have an interest in having the best possible relationship they can with the other. As I said, there are a number of areas where we have a mutuality of interests, but there are some differences, and we need to cooperate where we can, manage the differences where they occur. I think I made it very clear. I don't see the rise of China, which is a very, as I said, it's a historic transformation. The economic transformation of China in the last 25 years, truly historic. I don't think you can find a similar case in history. But it doesn't mean, in my view, that that's all zero for the. I mean, it doesn't mean we're going into the tank and China is going to be the new preeminent power on the world scene. That isn't going to happen. I was Treasury Secretary when the Japanese were over here buying up Rockefeller Plaza, and everybody used to say Japan Inc. is taking over the world and the United States is in the tank. Guess what? Guess how that turned out? China has some problems. They got problems. We have problems. There's no reason that relationship should not be a reasonably good. There will be tensions. There will be some troubles. We can manage those.